Chapter 14, Abolish Anxiety and Relax. My prayer. Lord, I praise you because you are worthy of all praise. I'm locking my eyes on your eyes so I will not be distracted by all the chaos going on around me. My mind is fixed on you, Jesus, and I know you will keep my mind in perfect peace. Thank you for abolishing anxiety from my life by delivering me from the evil spirit of fear. You are faithful to your word, so have your way in me, Lord. I love this word found in Philippians 4:4-7. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. I love you, Lord. Suzanne. There was a day I embraced a false belief that anxiety is something only a few people carry around. Before you experience something for yourself, you're unaware, and it is easy to think that what you are going through is somehow an isolated case. It is not until you openly confess what is happening in your own mind that you realize you truly are not alone. It is a sad discovery, though, because anxiety, grief, and depression is a hard place to reside, regardless of how long you are there. And even though you find you're not alone, you also grieve that someone else has suffered the way you have. At least this realization has the power to produce compassion in your heart for others in perhaps a way you did not have before. Anxiety is not something I continuously live with, but as a result of allowing thoughts and fears to manipulate my mind from time to time in the past, and because I in turn focused on those thoughts or fears, I've inadvertently allowed panic attacks, irrational fears, and depression to appear in my life as anxiety tried to take me out. In another chapter, I share in detail how I was healed at the core and now live in freedom from fear, which is, by the way, the root of anxiety. I had to get to the root of the issues that produced the fear in the first place and allow the Lord to deliver me from thoughts, beliefs, mindsets, strongholds, and struggles I was unaware I owned. Please know that you are not stuck in the cycle you may find yourself in. There is hope in Jesus to break you free from these destructive mindsets, but there are practical steps to help walk you out of the place you have felt stuck in. The stories in the Bible all show how Jesus healed, but he also required participation from the one receiving it. Remember? Get up, go, walk. So we shall believe in him, and we shall also get up and walk out this sticky place by faith. For the spiritual side of hope over anxiety, which is the real hope, please spend some time in the other chapters. But in this chapter, I want to highlight practical steps that I have learned to use that you can do to calm yourself, practice mindfulness, make your body obey, and respond to your commands, and finally, abort anxiety. The fear of fear. I used to fear a return of fear, which kept me bound to it. But I no longer feel afraid because I have taken an abolitionist approach to fear by identifying it, dealing with the root, and letting the Lord abolish it from my life. Fear. You can't ignore it. You can't go around it. can't go under, and you must not bury it. But when you go through it, if you'll put your faith over it and place it under the feet of Jesus, He will free you from the bondage of it. Hallelujah. We're going to address what anxiety is, what causes it to take root, surface and pop up unexpectedly, and we will also address some tools to help you manage the manifestations of it while you are learning to live free of it. It may take some time to work through this, and it may not take much time, but one thing I know is that it is time to take back your life and live free of anxiety, because it does not belong to you. It is just hanging around and it has to go. Remember, the root of anxiety is fear, which originates from your spiritual enemy, and fear is a liar. Fear is overcome by faith. So when faith arises, fear has to flee. If the root of fear is pulled up and replaced by faith, then what grows will no longer be anxiety, but will instead be a root of peace. The world versus the word. The world calls anxiety a disorder, a disease that you have, but it is actually a distraction that you have been deceived by. The word gives the remedy, as Paul says in Philippians 4:6, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. If you are distracted by anxiety, which deceives you into thinking that it is yours, turn your thoughts away from it, because we are to be anxious for nothing. And then focus on the face of Jesus, which centers you. Put your mind on Jesus as you pray and petition to Him, thanking Him and requesting He keep your mind at perfect peace as He fills your heart and mind with His thoughts. Think upon the fact that you are a son or a daughter of God, loved dearly, held in the arms of Jesus, and you are on His mind. He loves you and He understands what you are going through. Just imagine curling up in His lap, laying your head against His chest, and not having any cares, because you are protected. Your heavenly Dad is bigger than anything coming against you, and you can take confidence that you can rest in His presence in a place of safety, security, and stability. Seriously, ignore your enemy. Walk away from him and fix your gaze on Jesus. Receive His peace and remain calm and get some rest. A portrait of anxiety. To better understand anxiety, we need to define it. Clinically speaking, according to the National Institute of Mental Health, a generalized anxiety disorder, which is GAD, is characterized by a steady state of fear or worry, usually surrounding work, family, or health. This type of anxiety occurs usually for 6 months or more and carries symptoms of restlessness, fatigue, irritability, etc. It is typically difficult to control, as its source is often undefined. Other forms of anxiety may be easier for doctors to diagnose and treat. The type of anxiety I've experienced is not of an ongoing GAD, but has instead caught us all by surprise, as fear has found a way in and formed panic attacks and irrational phobias. Panic attacks? Panic attacks are unexpected periods of intense fear that come on suddenly and are accompanied by symptoms such as sweating, trembling, a racing heart, or feelings of impending doom. They can cause people to feel as if they are going insane or are somehow detached from themselves, according to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, which is the handbook that doctors rely on to identify and diagnose mental health conditions. There is much room for interpretation and understanding, as some occurrences take place due to an isolated situation, a toxic environment, or an overwhelming experience, rather than by an inherited long-term problem. For me, I have either been suddenly gripped by irrational fear, or I have felt and heard a snap occur in my brain as a disconnect, or I have suddenly awoken from my sleep with an urgent, intense fear and verbal response to it. In all of these cases, I was caught off guard and thrown into panic. One time, my body went the route of flight, and I found myself heading out the front door and escaping to the neighbor's porch before returning around and coming home. I have also taken the route of fight, as I instinctively have gone into spiritual battle, though I have not physically fought anyone. And I have also had my body just freeze, as I did not know what was happening. Each of these responses are frightening if you are going through them, but if you can force yourself to recognize what is happening, you can also accept the reality that it is not going to last, and that your loved ones who are also experiencing it with you are trying to help you rather than hurt you. Things will go better for you if you will allow them to help you. Your honesty with them and your effort to allow their help will help them trust you, so they may help you to get the help you need. If you resist to cooperate, it may not go well for you in your current state of mind. I have always found it better to trust the Lord to help my husband and loved ones to help me. With a temporary onset of lack of trust in others, it's best to trust God to guide them to help me remain calm. This has been possible because it is the way I live when in total health. Who you are and what is inside of you before the battles is who you are and what will come out of you within the fight. Phobias. This is a specific, identified, intense fear or worry tied to an animal, activity, situation, or another source that is easy to define. The most common phobia shared with the majority of healthy people is that of speaking in public, for instance. Some people have a phobia of heights, being in tight places, or a fear of flying. If you suffer from being anxious about these things but do them anyways, it is not considered a disorder. However, if you rearrange your life to avoid them, it may be an indicator of a bigger problem. The dysfunction of anxiety may trigger negative symptoms that disrupt your life and will reveal your need to seek professional help. For me, there have been specific new fears that have hit me out of anxiety, out of nowhere, when I have been thrown into a period of anxiety. These episodes have lasted anywhere from 3 days to a few weeks. I am not a fan of listing fears the enemy has gripped me with, because I no longer am afraid and I do not wish to give any glory to the devil. But I will say that by faith I have faced each fear every time as I begin to regain balance in my brain. When I am able, I pick up my mat, I walk, I go, I put my faith to the test. And as I do, God meets me there and trashes the fear that was testing my faith. I am an overcomer through the blood of the Lamb, the word of my testimony, and because even though some of my fears were huge, I was not afraid, even unto death. I've put my trust in God, and He has triumphed over all fear that has come against me, and I have been left standing in the peace of God. Are you stressed or are you anxious? What's the difference? Stress is the source of anxiety. For example, you may be in a hurry because you are late, behind in a project, or had an interruption that set you back and off schedule. You may have been able to avoid the situation, or you may have had something happen to you beyond your control that has put you in this scenario. Regardless of how you got there, stress has now given you a reason to experience anxiety. When you are anxious, you may feel worry because you think of all the negative possibilities that could happen because of your situation, and your impending fearful outcome fuels the anxiety stirring inside you. Your body then takes over because it is going to protect you. Your emotional alarm system goes off and your internal first responder kicks into action, sometimes kicking you in the behind, causing panic to set in. Out of nowhere, there you are, so it seems, under attack. For me, I have personally experienced a variety of symptoms in my body when I have had an episode of panic erupt. It is hard to pinpoint these things ahead of time because some of the symptoms happen due to other circumstances. Usually, when anxiety is present and active, there will be multiple symptoms that hit the body all at once. The problem is, you most likely will not realize it until after anxiety has unleashed the fury in the form of an unexpected panic attack. Some physical manifestations of anxiety that might emerge as a response to fear are these I've listed. A flood of hormones being released into the body, activating the fight, flight, or freeze response. The body may become dizzy, shaky, or it may literally crash to the floor, caused by a rapid flow of blood or cortisol carried to the brain. Rapid breathing may occur, resulting in the person feeling he or she is not getting enough oxygen, so there could be trouble breathing, which fuels the anxiety even further. The heart will go into overdrive and may trigger the feeling of having a heart attack, or at least cause tight chest pain. Some people experience a migraine as well as tightening of the muscles. The immune system becomes compromised, which produces excessive cortisol levels, as well as it presents a higher risk of developing infections. Sleep is often disrupted, and as a result, fatigue or insomnia may set in. Sudden blood sugar problems could cause the brain to produce serotonin in excess, and it may also create an environment for unwanted weight gain. Body sweats are a common side effect of anxiety. A lack of appetite and other tummy issues could present immediate discomforts and the potential distress of developing further digestive issues. Some antidotes to help you manage your mind to ward off episodes of anxiety might include some of these things I've listed. Pay attention to your body and your circumstances so that you notice changes. Get proper nutrition, exercise, and sleep, crucial habits to maintaining your health and mental well-being. Engage in positive self-talk and eliminate negative self-talk. Speak well of yourself instead of putting yourself down. For example, practice saying things like, I am trustworthy and I do my best, versus, I am not very smart and I always mess things up. Feed yourself positive affirmations and fuel your brain with nutritious, healthy thoughts that produce happy results in your mindset. Relax and rest. Take breaths. Do things you enjoy or do mindless activities to rest your brain. Consider these suggestions: adult coloring books, gardening, doodling, listening to or playing music, sorting junk drawers, organizing a shelf in the pantry, light housework, etc. These things will give you a sense of accomplishment, but not require much mental involvement. If you are experiencing anxiety, you need to give yourself permission to relax. Drinking a warm cup of chamomile or lavender tea is also relaxing to the body. Take a hot bath or shower before bed. Essential oils in the water or in an afterbath lotion will help bring calmness as you prepare to settle in for the night. Natural anti-stress remedies are helpful and can be found online or in health supplement stores. Do your research or ask for assistance to find what is good options for you. Make sure that what you purchase will not interfere with any medications you may be taking. Always seek advice from your caregiver if you're taking prescription drugs. Turn off the extra chatter, including visual chatter found on social media and television. If you are in need of renewing your mind, you might find these other sources of voices to bring confusion. I recently heard a ministry leader say that when fear finds a way into your being, information is attracted to you that validates the lies fear has fed you. This is 100% true, and I have experienced it firsthand, as I alluded to already. This happens because fear is fueled by an evil oppressor who is seeking to destroy and devour you. Real events and facts that are present and presented as false evidence to the lies you have listened to. Then confusion in the mind grows and causes even more anxiety because what you heard and what you believed is now coming true, at least in your mind. This is why it is important to allow the mind to take a break from the voices and chatter that will be used against you, even though they may be innocent and unaware. The devil is a liar and he is sneaky, but your God is truth, and in him there is no lie. He is able to dispel the lies and bring your mind back to peace, but you are responsible to cooperate with him to silence the voices that are against you. It's time to abolish anxiety and let the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Practice progressive relaxation. This is a technique I was taught by Jay Jellison to command your body to release the tension it is holding. This practice helps you manage your body and control the natural response of cortisol, which is carried by adrenaline that actuates our limbic system. Remember, when the body feels it is in danger, it activates the limbic cycle, fight, flight, and freeze, for no apparent reason, which triggers anxiety. So controlling the limbic system, by way of keeping the body relaxed, is a way to produce a mind over matter management system that will help you stay balanced. Progressive relaxation is a process of doing a body scan relaxation by tensing, holding, releasing the tension of every part of your body, beginning with your feet and progressively traveling up your body to your head, then back down again. You concentrate on one area at a time and tense it up. Hold the pose for 5 seconds, then release it and focus on the next in line area of the body to force into relaxation. You progressively scan your body from bottom to top and back down again. Repeat this process, then go directly to bed. I often forget to do this before bed, so once in bed with lights out, I mentally work through the technique as I tense and release my body and force it to relax. Then I go to sleep. Jay taught me this technique, and I wanted to include it for you as it has been a great tool to help me. When I inquired of it with him recently, he relayed he had learned it from a counselor who had shared it with him at one time, but he did not know the name of it. So I decided I would look into it later and see what I could find through research. Then a few days later, as I was heading into the gym to do a workout with earbuds in, as I commonly do, I will choose a YouTube video or a podcast to listen to while I do the stationary bike, so I will not lose focus on the time, but will instead feed my mind as I exercise my body. I was shocked when Dr. Barbara Lowe, someone I had only recently discovered, began to talk about the progressive relaxation technique. I was watching her YouTube episode titled "Why Stability is the First Step to Wholeness" with Dr. Barbara. I have since enjoyed learning from her, and I want to give credit where it is due. Further research led me to find this technique has been circling since the early 1920s, originating with Dr. Edmund Jacobson as a way to help his patients deal with anxiety and insomnia. I want to point something out to you. I have asked the Lord to help guide every step of the process of putting this book together. When I come to a place of needing additional information, validation, or details I am missing, He has been faithful to lead me to what I need in the most random places and in the most bizarre ways, even at the gym. The Father is so personal and is still very creative. He gets the credit for directing my attention to the video, as I guess he thought this tip was a good one to pass along. It's worth giving it a try. With that, it is time for me to say my prayers with a grateful heart, relax my body by practicing progressive relaxation myself, and get some rest. Remember, fear is overcome by faith. So when faith arises, fear has to flee. If the root of fear is pulled up and replaced by faith, then what grows will no longer be anxiety, but will instead be a root of peace.